Welcome to another edition of The Lamp. I'm Pat Munsey, publisher of the Kokomo Lantern, and with me today is Emily Hemersbach.
You got it.
With the Community Foundation serving Howard, Tipton, Clinton, and Carrol counties?
Nope, Howard, Clinton, and Carrol counties.
Oh, sorry, Tipton, you're out of luck.
Tipton has a pretty good foundation, though, too. We were just
luck.
down there.
Okay, great. It all worked out in the end. Don't listen to me. So, thank you, Emily, for hosting us here at the Community Foundation for this, and for taking your time to talk to me and to our watchers here about what goes on at the Community Foundation and why it should matter to them. So let's first talk about what is the Community Foundation.
Yeah, so the Community Foundation is really, grown by the community. We have existed in Howard County since 1991. So 34 years going strong. So we are actually a 3-county foundation. We're going to talk a lot about Howard County specifically because that's, I think, where your listeners probably are mostly based.
Yes.
But I always like to explain the structure. So we're actually 3 foundations under one roof. We serve Howard, Clinton, and Carrol County. See, now you're going to mess me up.
Before it's over with, half the counties in Indiana are being served by this Community Foundation. You watch.
So Howard County is like the umbrella foundation. Clinton and Carrol came in under our umbrella in the late 90s, and they've been under our umbrella for that time. They have their own committees, their own board per se. They make all their own decisions. A lot of the things we do are in triplicate. Some we do, together. The benefit of that is we have a bigger investment pool, and they are able to share our staff. Just overall, it's beneficial to all 3 counties. And so we work really hard to be in all 3 counties active. It keeps us very busy, but it's fun. But Howard County Foundation, we have a total of a little over 600 funds, all 3 foundations. Howard, I would say, has a large majority of that. The 3 foundations in total, asset-wise, we have about $120 million in assets.
And all this is money that you are giving away, holding in trust to give away to
anybody? Well, that's a good question.
Sure.
That's a good question. So we hold it in the prospect of the give, grow, grant philosophy is what we like to call it. So the money that donors donate to the foundation always stays here, and it stays here to grow. So, donors give those funds to we have all different types of funds here that support different nonprofits, scholarships, and some of them are more like they might support a certain need in the community, but the foundation gets to make the decision of where that money would eventually go within that realm of a nonprofit.
Sure.
So when the money comes into the foundation, then it is grown here, so it goes into our investment pool and we grow it, and then we take the growth off of those, and a portion of that growth is used for our budget every year to grant out and give scholarships away. We like to say, your money's gonna continue to grow. It's a legacy for you when it comes into the foundation, and then it's just gonna keep benefiting the community over and over.
So I'm the person who brings you the money, right? So, and I'm assuming that it's, in most cases, as I'm approaching retirement age or end of life, and I'm looking to bequeath money to establish a legacy in the community, right?
Yeah.
For any cause, the Spaghetti Lovers of America or whatever it is, if I want to put that money and designate it for that type of cause, I can do that, right?
They do have to be a designated nonprofit, 501(c). There's a couple other designations. Emerald would be able to tell you that. I don't know those numbers, but our main one is 501(c). And so what we do then is we take all different kinds of gifts. So yes, there are those people that they do kind of legacy giving is what we would call it. So estate gifts, life insurance, things like that. There are also people that we have regular donors that just come in and they'll, do $10, $50. There's memorial giving. So people will oftentimes give in memory of someone who maybe had an impact on the foundation, or they had a favorite nonprofit that has a fund here. There's also options of gifts of stock, gifts of land. We work in a lot of different areas and with a lot of different community members, but again, all benefiting the community. So any of that comes in, the money that comes in is going to stay here. It's going to grow. It's going to continually benefit the community. And that's the kind of the message we want to get out is, we're here for the long haul. Obviously, we've been here for 34 years.
Right.
We're not going anywhere. This money will always stay in your community where it was designated by the donors, because it's our purpose and our goal to honor every donor's charitable giving wishes, and to work with them on their dreams too. So that's kind of the other fun part.
Sure.
Is when we get. Oh, go ahead.
No, I don't want to interrupt you.
No,
you're the authority
you're good.
here.
You're
I was going to say, when you talked about you'll take stocks and you'll take land and you'll take cash. If I've got, I die with a big bottle cap collection that has value, do you take that type of thing as well?
So a big bottle cap collection. I feel like someone had that a long time ago, something similar to that. So it depends on the gift, and we look at every gift. So I don't know on a bottle cap collection. You could always ask. You could always try. Sometimes
there's only 3. I'm just started, but
Yes. The board has the right to refuse a gift if they feel that it is going to be a challenge for the foundation to take that gift and actually make money from it.
Right.
So even when we get a gift of land, we have to review that land, do studies on the land. There's a very long checklist that has to go along before the board can say, yes, we accept the land. And then the next step is we sell the land. And so it is a strenuous process for gifts of land, I would say, is one that, but we are willing to do it, especially if it's going to benefit that community. It's just a lot of steps to make sure that we're doing our due diligence as an organization for the community.
Gotcha. So now on the other side of the equation, I'm not the giver, I'm the receiver. How do I qualify for a grant or gift from the Community Foundation?
Yeah, so obviously I already kind of talked about that. Nonprofit designation is really important, or if you're a student.
Okay.
So we have scholarships. A lot of our scholarships benefit high school students, but there are several that benefit undergrad students. So we always tell students to get on there and apply. We're actually, probably by the time this releases, our scholarship deadline will be over, because it's over March 1st.
Yes.
But we have all these different deadlines. So like mid-year, we'll have the Lilly Scholarship, which most people have heard of. And that's a full ride scholarship. Howard County gets 2 of them every year. And so that's a whole other separate process.
Sure.
So students, they apply through an application that helps them define which scholarships they would be eligible for. And then they go through the process of what those scholarships require. Some of them require essays, references, things like that. For nonprofits, if they're a new nonprofit that hasn't engaged with the foundation before, we usually recommend they give us a call and kind of chat with Emerald, our senior vice president. She likes to just make sure she's giving guidance, understands what they need, and we don't want them to do a bunch of footwork and then find out, oh, this isn't actually, aligning with our goals, or maybe there's a different way they could do the application. So we really want to work together with them and make sure that everything aligns really well. Now, we do have nonprofits we work with pretty frequently, or that are aware of us, we're aware of them, and they can do an application. And so we have, in Howard County, we are blessed to have 4 grant cycles.
Wow.
Right. We have 4 grant cycles every year, so we keep real busy around here.
Sure. And how large are those grant cycles?
You know what? They vary. I don't know what her budget is this year yet, but last year I can tell you that there were grants that went from $5,000 to $25,000. Occasionally you'll see a $50,000, $100,000 grant. It just depends on the project.
Sure.
The grants committee is given a budget, and they're the big people that make the decisions. We, as the staff, I always try to make sure the community knows this. We just facilitate the work. We let the community volunteers, they're the ones that make the decisions. So our board, our committees, they are the decision makers. We just bring them the applications, we bring them the ideas, we bring them the policies. We just facilitate the foundation as a whole, but there's over 40 community members that volunteer with us.
And just from all walks of life?
Oh, yeah.
How do you come up with those 40 people?
So we have committees in each county that help develop those boards and committees. So oftentimes it's from, recommendation from another board and committee member. There was a founding board, and that's kind of where it all started in 1991. But what we see is generally we have a lot of people that will call and say, hey, we have a spot open on the scholarships committee. Would you want to join? And they join that. They get to start knowing us. And then oftentimes oftentimes those people will sometimes come on to the board, the big board. So the Howard County Board is the final decision maker. So they're long board meetings for them, and they keep pretty busy. Lots of good questions from them, and they work very hard all of them work very hard to do their due diligence to make sure money is being spent well, with regard to the community and with regard to our donors and their wishes.
Sure. Now with the scholarships, because those are are individual grant funded, right?
Yeah.
I assume that their evaluation process doesn't go through the same 40 people, right? Do the funds have to come up with their own board and criteria?
No.
Okay.
So a lot of the people that establish scholarships do work with Emerald to come up with criteria. However, we have a scholarships committee. So each county has their own scholarships committee. Each county has their own grants committee. We have an investment committee for all 3 counties that has a combination of people from all 3 counties that their job is to really dive into the finance, focus on that. But back to the scholarships committee.
Yes.
Yeah. So they are the ones that once our applications finish coming in March 1st, they are going to get packets with all the applications and all the students, and they are such dedicated people. They read every application, they look very closely, then they meet. And you'll often see they'll take our big whiteboard in there and start figuring out who's getting what. They're very intentional with the funds that are given and looking at the criteria that the donors have given us, and then also looking at the funds that are available to go out to the students. So there's a lot of time in the background that's put into figuring out which students are going to get what scholarships. Once they finalize all of that, that big list goes to our big board, and they give the yay or nay, which I would say 99% of the time, they trust the scholarships committee has, done their due diligence. They've given them this recommendation, and then they approve it, final approval.
Very cool. Now, you'd mentioned earlier that you have 2 Lilly scholarships that you receive every year to give out to the community. In my experience, the Lilly Foundation has been an integral part of the success of community foundations across the state.
Yeah.
Howard County is definitely no exception to that rule. No. What is the relationship between the Lilly Foundation and the community foundation here?
Yeah. So Lilly Endowment, we're really blessed in Indiana as a whole to have Lilly Endowment. Fun fact for you, if you didn't know, Indiana is the only state in the country that has a community foundation in every county, and that is largely due to the Lilly Endowment. If you look back in history, foundations started to pop up, but in Indiana, when Lilly Endowment started investing in the community, that's when the foundations just started popping up in every community or every county. And so, like I said, now every county in the state, so there's 52 community foundations. There's 1 county that has 2.
Okay.
There's 52 community foundations in the state of Indiana. And so we all work really well together, and we work really well with Lilly Endowment. They do a lot of different things for us, and one of those things is the Lilly scholarships. They allow the foundations to facilitate those. So again, we're kind of like the handoff door to get to those, but they allow us to do the community work for those. So we have separate committees for those again.
Oh, wow, okay.
So the scholarship committee actually doesn't work on the Lilly scholarship because it's such a separate process. So there's a Lilly scholarship committee.
Wow.
And so they, like in Howard County last year, I think she said they read 75 applications. So those people spent a few weeks reading applications.
Sure.
They do all this scoring and stuff. There's a special process of scoring to make sure that there's not any leanings or anything. And then once they do scoring,
Go ahead.
Okay. Once they do scoring, she adds up the scores, and the top, I believe 7 or 8 are chosen for interviews with the Lilly Scholarship Committee. So that committee then sits down and interviews those students. I know it's nerve-wracking for the students. We always try we always try to tell them when they come in, we're like, they're not here to bite you. They want you to succeed.
Right.
But it's still a big room, a big boardroom full of adults that are sitting there waiting for you.
I guess I didn't want to go to college that much.
Exactly. So they do those interviews, and then they sit and talk about those students and figure out who we're going to choose, and we have to nominate them to Lilly. Lilly has independent colleges of Indiana help them manage that scholarship, and so we send those nominations out. They approve them, and then usually about December we know who the scholarship winners are. So it's a process that starts in July, August, and then we don't really know the winners until December.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's
a lot of work.
It's a strenuous process especially for our scholarships officer. She works really hard on that process of facilitating that in all 3 counties. So imagine that process times 3.
Right.
Now Clinton and Carrol only have 1 Lilly Scholar, and that's not chosen by us. Lilly Endowment chooses that based on population.
Okay,
So
sure.
most of the things that they do for us, all the amounts are chosen by the population in the counties, which we feel is a fair way to choose who gets what.
Sure. So with Lilly's other grant programs that they have that nonprofits qualify for, do those all go through the community foundation as well, or is it a mix?
It's definitely a mix, I would say. So when they do things with the foundation, they're usually supporting funds that would do things with the nonprofits, but they do grants outside of us to nonprofits as well. They have a lot of programs over there. So, but our main focus with them, or the things that we do, are their gift programs. That's Giving Indiana Funds for Tomorrow is what the program is called. And so we're actually currently on Gift 8.
Wow.
And so right now, and the programs are different every time they do them. They have different parts, different things they want to give money to. I think, we've talked a little bit about, we haven't talked about it on here, our gift match. That's a Lilly Endowment thing. They told us, hey, we're doing a gift match. Here's your fundraising goal, and here's how much we're going to match. So right now we have a 2-for-1 gift match for unrestricted funds.
Wow, okay.
And so unrestricted funds are what fund a lot of the grant making that we do from the grants committee. That's where they have the freedom to make the decisions. And so those donors have really entrusted the foundation to recognize that communities change, needs change. And so they've trusted us to know what the needs in the community are, and to then make sure that the money is going in the best places every year.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, you don't know what your budget is this year with your 4 grant cycles, but I'm sure you have some historical data about the amount of money and the number of grants and scholarships that have been given out historically by the organization. So how big are those numbers?
Yeah, so last year we put out a little over $2.5 million in grants and scholarships to Howard County. So it's just a little money moving around here.
So if you're doing 2 a year and you've been there for 30 plus years, that's a pretty big number.
Yes.
I'm guessing that this is not last year wasn't the biggest year in the organization's history as far as the amount of money given away. But
yeah, I wouldn't know that. It ebbs and flows. So a lot of it is based on the market. We do some things to make sure that the market doesn't affect things too much. When the grants budget is chosen, it's based on, and this is going to get kind of nerdy for you for a minute, but it's based on a 12-quarter rolling average for how those accounts were doing, how those funds were doing. And that's to protect those funds from, a really bad market year versus a really good market year. Keeps things kind of steady instead of, 1 year we have a really low grants budget and the next we have a really high grants budget. We want to make sure that we can provide for the nonprofits each year and what they need. So
I don't know if you want to talk about it in this episode or not, but I've completely lost my train of thought on that question. I remembered your name, Emily. I can't remember the question I was going to ask
That's
you.
Okay.
We'll have to pick it up in another episode. I guess. Do you have anything else that you want to add? Because we're going to do a whole series of these that you'll have to struggle through along with me. Don't hold it against the community foundation.
Learning all about the foundation.
Exactly. So, if you've got something else you want to add in this episode, we can do that. Otherwise, we'll say farewell and tell them to tune back in.
Yeah, I would say tune in next time.
All right. Well, then that's all that we have for this episode, thankfully. You can only take me in small doses. So, hey, until next week, please be good to each other.